Today I want to tell you about one of the greatest and most technical third-person shooters ever made. And not just about it, but why it's worthy of your time. And I don't want this game to die. And right now, it's barely hanging in there. It's on life support. Now this game is hard, like really hard. Since this game is so hard and hard things are scary, hey, put it away. Look, I want this game to be popular so I have people to play with. So I'm going to teach you guys how to play in hopes that you think that the gameplay is cool. Disclaimer though, you might genuinely sprain your hand trying to play this game. It has extremely high APM, meaning actions per minute. You're constantly pressing things and it looks like your hand is morphing into some kind of alien spider creature. I'm not even kidding when I tell you, I have a section of this video dedicated to keeping your hands healthy. So what I'm saying is this might be the fastest game you've ever played. And while it's super difficult, when you start understanding what's going on, it is one of the most fun games ever made. Oh, silly me. What's it called? This is Gunz the Duel, a game where you fly around, defy gravity, and become the ultimate matrix dodging and weaving monster of epic proportions. I mean, maybe that was cooler in my head, because right now you have no idea what you're looking at, but you will really soon. Now let's stack the cards against me even more. This game currently has a low player base and is run on private servers mainly, which may or may not be sketchy downloads depending on which one you choose. The main servers recently have announced that they would get released, but we don't have that much communication with the developers and it just says 2026 on the Steam page. So how am I going to get you to play Gunz the Duel? Well, first we're going to talk about what Gunz is and what kind of player might love the game. Then I'm going to show you some mechanics and some in-depth moves so you can learn how everything meshes together to make fluid gameplay. And then we're going to go into some suggestions for the development team and what the future of Gunz could possibly look like. With that all being said, let's rock. What is Gunz the Duel? Who should play? Gunz the Duel is a third-person shooter originally designed to be a run-and gun style shooter where you have a gun and a melee weapon, kind of like this in this trailer. You can roll around, you had tumbling mechanics and wall running like you're in the Matrix. But this isn't actually how Gunz was played, at least not after the players figured out that this game has some of the most jank code ever put to computers. You see, the reason that this game is so good is due to bugs and glitches. Everything can animation cancel into basically everything. And as a result, your wall runs became wall climbs. Your shots turned into slash shots, giving us advanced movement and defensive options. Eventually, when enough of these animation cancels came together, it created something called Kstyle. Butterfly, slash shot, reload shot, half step, half step, reload half step, forbidden step, flash step, step bro, gojo, mojo, jojo, and much more have built the foundation of movement and skill expression in Gunz the Duel. If you're a new player and didn't know how to move an animation cancel, you'd open up the game, see people glitching across the air that look like animations that you didn't have, you'd get destroyed, and the skill gap was massive. But Kstyle, while one of the most popular styles for reasons we'll cover later, was not the only one. You see, there were some dagger enthusiasts who had access to different animation cancels and a much harder playstyle. This was called Dstyle. They relied on movement called yo-yoing, and if you can't yo-yo, then don't bother to go-yo and try this style. What was Gunz the Duel? It's a game where there's an extremely high skill ceiling that your skill and time playing is rewarded. Just learn how to wall climb, it opens up the game vastly, for example. It's a game where there are secret or very hard to master techniques. Techniques so difficult that if you or anyone else is seen doing them, you just know that they're in a completely different league of their own. It's about your APM or actions per minute. The more you can do, the more you can outplay or outthink your opponent, the higher chance of winning. So who should play Gunz the Duel? Of course I'd say everybody, but again I'm just trying to sell you on playing this game with me. But I am addicted to fighting games, a genre where getting your shit rolled is the regular. You get your ass beat all the time. If you like learning hard games and you can withstand getting absolutely crushed for what is likely a very long time, this game is absolutely worth your time. Now, as intense as I've made Gunz seem, there's a more casual side to it for 4 fun game modes, which I'll mention near the end of the video, which I think would be great for new players to start with. Now that you have an idea of what Gunz is, let's get into the dojo. Okay, I'm going to teach you guys how to play Gunz. I'm going to be running through a mini Kstylers and Dstylers beginner's guide. This way I can show you how these different movements and animation cancels created playstyles, options, and diversity in the way that players attack different situations and problems. You can pause or slow down this video at any point if you need to. This is going to be a very in-depth beginner's guide, not just showing off the movements, but showing you why the movements do what they do and when you would want to use them. First, before we play, let's talk recommended controls. This game has tons of animation cancels, It's a lot easier if you have buttons that feel right to use. I'm going to give you guys my control scheme, and here's mine. You're going to put both of your guns, one on Q, one on E. You're going to have switch to sword set to mouse wheel down. You're going to put one of your taunts, either laugh or cry, on mouse wheel up. Just trust me, this is important. And keep your items on 4 and 5. You're going to change block from shift to right click, and you're going to put alternative fire onto shift. Jump on space or alt, you can do both, and you're all set. As a guideline for each move we're going to go into later, you want to practice in all directions. If not, it'll come to bite you. Kind of like switching sides in a fighting game and not being able to do your moves. Okay, let's start by going over basic controls. While holding your gun, you can walk around. You can roll by double tapping a directional button. You can jump, you can shoot, and you can wall run by double tapping space onto a wall. When playing guns, you can have 2 items like med kits or special items like grenades, so on and so forth. You can use them while using your gun or sword. Now let's get into the meat of the game, the melee weapons. You have access to swords, daggers, and kadachi. And since we're talking about Kstyle, we'll want to cover swords and leave daggers for the Dstyle section. Your sword controls are pretty simple, just like the gun ones. You have a 4-hit combo that you can do by pressing the attack button. When you attack an enemy, you put them into something called hit stun. You know what this is if you played fighting games. Hit stun means there's a moment where your opponent is hit and cannot press any buttons in reaction, so they're stunned. They got hit and then they were stunned. If your animation cancels are really good, there's a lot you can do with this. Your alternative fire does a move that we call flip, which flips the opponent. If they don't press jump after being flipped, they'll be grounded and free to shoot. When you hold the attack button, you charge something that we call a massive. If someone is hit by this technique, they become stunned and they are free to hit. It's not uncommon to have somebody camp with one of these behind a corner or on a high ledge and pop out and insta-kill you with it. But of course, after you charge one, it doesn't last forever, so you can't just run around with it. And you lose the ability to use your basic attacks until you use your massive or it runs out. You have a block that deflects bullets and also parries melee attacks. And it blocks massive and parries them. Once you block a melee attack, your sword glows and you get a massive that you can use to counter somebody. So that being said, blocking sounds pretty broken, right? A strategy used against newer players is called turtling, which is just holding block and playing ultra defensive. This can be countered in a few ways. By shooting at someone's feet who's blocking, they'll take damage. But there's a lot more to blocking. In this example here, we'll show you all the different ways that melee and block interact with each other.
くそ、交通のボガを手前、タテロスターを極めているし、俺の攻撃を次々と気なかしてくる。でも、新鮮お前はかまして向けて刃の角度を変えれば、相手の心をかわして受け流しを防止できるんだ。この技法は角度調整と呼ばれ、攻撃において不可欠な手段である。収容強の防御をまっすぐから裂いてやる。攻撃が早ければ確実に当たれるんだ。もし彼が暴力をして反撃しようとしても、その攻撃の先で完全に無防備になる。強力な攻撃は暴力されたり流されたりすることもあるが、角度を作る技には人的な加点がある。あいつ上を見上げてる。その加点とは暴力の角度を調整できるということだ。くそ、なんであいつはただそこに立てるんだ。それしかできないのか。あいつは俺が習った角度に合わせてブロックし、さらにパリまで決めた。最悪なことに俺はスタン状態になり、コンボを許してしまった。もう死んでるはずだ。通常1対1の対戦でマッシブをチャージさせるような相手はいないが、彼は最強の相手と戦っていた。彼は恐れていなかった。これはとんでもない理由だ。スカイブロックを使えばマッシブをパリできる。スカイブロックは方向性のあるブロックの一つでマッシブを回避したり、瞬時には壊したりできる。空を見上げることができる。しかし、でもこれを上に向けて跳ねてばどうせ当たるはずだ。それで棒はカババとも方向へもブロックできるようになり、攻撃側はそれを予測しなければならない。今回は攻撃側が勝った。領域展開。勝負は決まった。
And by the way, guys, that whole skit, those are all actual game mechanics that exist, except for the domain expansion. Now that you know all the basics, here's where it gets crazy. Our first animation cancel will be Lightstep. Jump, dash, and then slash. This is vital, okay? You can use this for movement. You can use this as a way to attack and move much faster than just walking. You use your dash, your slash carries some momentum for you. This is a precursor move to our next move, which we're gonna get into. Wall climb. There's lots of verticality on maps and places that you can only make and plays you can only do if you know how to wall climb. Here's the easiest way to get started wall climbing without using a dash. Jump, jump again, then slash. What jumping twice does, if you remember, initiates a wall run, but players learn that you could cancel that with a slash. So angled correctly, 2 jumps on a wall and a slash cancels, and you're able to scale. If you're faster with your animation cancel, you're not even going to see that run animation. You're just going to bounce up the wall. To make your wall climb incorporate movement and make it a lot faster, you want to incorporate a dash. So it's jump, dash, slash, and jump at the same time will have you bounce off the walls. And also remember, you have an active hitbox. So while you're climbing this wall, people can be hit by you. So next, butterfly. Butterfly is a way of using animation cancels to have both an offensive and defensive move at the same time. To do a butterfly, you jump, slash, and cancel your slash with a block. Now, depending on how fast you do this, you can actually do more actions before you reach the ground. And there's a lot more things you can do with the animation cancels when you get your butterflies really, really tight. But before we get too far into this, I want you to remember, what does block do? I mean, it parries, it deflects, it does a whole lot of things. So you can parry people while doing this animation cancel, which means aggressively blocking into someone who's using a lot of movement is a legitimate strategy. Also, all the things that you would do to bypass block normally still apply to someone doing the butterfly. To move with your butterfly, you jump, dash, slash, and block. And now you're a moving hitbox with an offensive and a defensive move. Now I think we're gonna get to an extremely important move you've probably seen in every video. We're gonna get to slash shot. Okay, here's where you can understand a little bit of Gunz' meta. Any weapon in Gunz can work and do these techniques, but there's some very commonly used ones. Usually, common combinations include using double shotguns, double revolvers, and even double rocket launchers. And 2 of each can do the host of moves that exist in Gunz. Shotguns became meta because they have a lot of damage, they have decent range, and they're very fast to use. Now, revolvers are somewhat similar, but they have even more range. They're just harder to hit. Any weapon in Gunz can do these techniques, but they're commonly used when you have 2 of the same gun. So your slash shot is extremely important. First you jump, then you slash, then you switch to your gun. You're gonna get this funky animation. If you hold your shot, then the shot comes out. Congrats, you've done a slash shot. You're insanely better at the game than most people already. Your slash shot has a slash in it. And what do we know from Lightstep? Well, we know we can move with our slashes. So you can dash while moving and shooting instead of doing this terrible roll animation you're locked in when just having your gun out. But that's not all. We've learned how to wall climb, and if you remember, slashes can make us wall climb. So you can also climb with a slash shot. And here's where we dip a little bit into strategy. Look at these 2 scenarios. Say I'm behind the wall here and my opponent is coming around the corner. By using slash shot, I can come up here, get the high ground, and shoot them while peeking through the wall. Or in another situation where both behind cover, I slash shot up this wall and boom, instant angle, instant shot on this person. Sick. I can now use slash shots to travel on walls and find new angles to approach hitting someone. But there's a bit of a problem here. When I do my slash shot, I'm stuck in my gun animation and I can't dash after. Well, that's why Flash Step was made. Using the mouse wheel down, you can switch back to your sword really quickly and regain your movement options. Jump, slash, switch to gun, then back to your sword. And you can add a dash. Jump, dash, slash, switch to gun, then to sword. Now the reason you have 2 shotguns and the reason they're meta is they do high damage up front. The thing is, to get most use out of your shotguns, you have to alternate between them to get max damage. This is because just one shotgun doesn't have a super fast rate of fire. This is why Reload Shot was made. If you want to alternate between your guns for big damage, it would look like this. So start on your first gun by pressing Q, then you're going to hold the shot button and press E and R together. Here you're going to get this very snappy animation where you shoot very fast. If you're a super smart cookie, you must be wondering, hey, can I use this reload animation cancel in my slash shot? And well, yes you can, making your slash shots even faster. Now saying you catch someone off guard, theoretically speaking, since your slash shot has a hitbox, you can hit someone with it, cause them to be in hit stun, and do something like this, killing them before they even knew what hit them. Now that they're dead, here's your final Kstyle move. Get over their dead body, hold your block, and scroll that mouse wheel up, baby. Be toxic, let's go. A lot of these animations we talked about use slashes, and because they use slashes, if you block into them, you can actually parry people's animation cancels. I think that's a good beginner base. There's tons of other movements to learn, but you'll spend plenty of time on just those ones alone. And I'll link another YouTube's guide to Kstyle, who seems to have pretty much most, if not every single move in his video guide. Now, Dstyle. For those of you who don't know what it is, think about how hard this game already is. You're essentially playing Dark Souls on a no-hit run attempt with these things. Let's start with the cons, of which there are many. First of all, you cannot slash shot at all. The animation cancel stuff I just mentioned, yeah, you can't do those. You basically can't do any of them at all. And blocking? Pfft, you can't block. You can't. Which means you get ran at by sword users holding block, unless you angle or try and dash away as you poke their block. But then you can't really evade massives either. This weapon needs a buff. Masang, if you're watching this, please, I beg. Okay, well, what are the pros? Well, it's a very fast weapon. It has its very own special Dstyler cancels. It has an insane alternative attack, which I think makes this weapon crazy. And it has really good mobility. Your attacks on dagger actually cancel your slashes, giving you really good ground movement that you can mix up that you can't do on sword. You'll notice I'm playing a male character because as far as I know, these cancels are male specific. They have a specific movement tech called yo-yoing, which is extremely hard, and one missed input from this causes you to do a roll, which if you know anything about Gunz and its pace, means you're probably dead if you're rolling this slow. You can also do a wall climb, but it's a little weird. The best part about dagger though is that alternative fire. For some reason with weapons, if you dash on the frame that you press the alternative key and you double tap, your character will glide across the ground. Now, for sword and Kadachi, this isn't really a big deal, but for daggers, you get insane movement in all directions. And it's not just insane movement, it grounds people. It's very hard to predict, and you can hit multiple targets. That's it with the beginner's guide on Kstyle and Dstyle. Let's talk about what's happened for the game currently. The official servers had a beta, which I participated in and played the playtest. They had a lot of good ideas, like putting macro buttons for dashing, so newer players are more easily able to do the advanced movement tech. So far it looks good, but here's my suggestion on how Gunz can survive. Oh, before I forget, your hands. Very simple advice I'm gonna give you here. Whenever you have your hands on the keyboard, if you notice your hands hurt from gaming all day like a degenerate, like I've done for most of my lifetime, it really helps to curve your fingers. Curving them like you're playing a piano, if you know what that's like. That's what saved my fingers over the years. Something else that you can do is take a break. If you start to feel sore, slow down. It's okay. You know, these movements take a while to get. So for suggestions for the development team, first, I think you guys are already doing this, but there needs to be more support for people doing animation cancels. The macro buttons are a good step in the right direction for beginners, but I know that people might need a little bit of an extra help. Something else that would help is an in-game tutorial or custom levels that specifically help players learn the game and what the game does. These would help greatly, and on private servers, there's already a lot of things like this in place. Even though Gunz and its glitches and Kstyle, this is all accidental and unintentional, I think the development team very much has to lean into the love of that as being the core fun of the game. I mentioned this already, but I think Dstyle needs some support. It needs some easier ways to cancel, maybe some more specific things to make it more viable. I think that would be super hype. And even considering adding another melee weapon or giving another weapon the tools to do a new style, a new form of movement with access to different things. As an example, Kodachis have something they can do called Void Step. It's just Kodachi specific. And why would people want this? Why should we do this? Well, there's a reason that Dstylers stuck with Dstyle. It's absolute pain and suffering. And the reason is just they wanted to have fun with it, and giving people more options I think is never a bad thing. Crap, I nearly forgot this. There used to be something called A and D that we used to play. It's called Attack and Defense, and it's like this made up game mode. It's not real. Masangsoft, make this a real game mode. Essentially, we played it on Mansion. The way it worked is we had attacking and defending players on opposing sides. The defending players could not leave a particular zone, and the attacking players could come in, and you had to like outplay people in that environment. I think that that mode becoming real would be a very pleasant surprise to OG fans, and definitely something people would love just in the regular player base, because it is a fun style of gameplay. Next, you guys have to promote your game, because without any marketing, no one will even know that it's out. And when it comes to inspiration, I'd say look to private servers. They've done a lot of good stuff to keep the game alive for this long. This game came out in 2003, but people are still playing. Private servers have done a lot right. They have custom maps for players to do things like parkour, capture the flag, all kinds of things to do very casually. Even in infected mode where you can play as a zombie or kill zombies. Now, in terms of private servers, I play Freestyle Gunz. It's my favorite server. It's the one that I played with my friends in high school. It's what I recorded this video on, but there are others. It may flag your antivirus, but the community has deemed it as a safe software, so do with that as you will. I will also link the official Gunz Duel Discord and Steam page, so you can check them out and apply for getting into the server itself and just play whenever they're having beta tests. I also wanted to give a big shout out to the Gunz community and the people who helped me film this video. So first of all, giving a shout out to Naori and Chase, those two players, and a lot of other players who showed up just to play and to learn some cool stuff about Gunz. I also want to do a super huge shout out to Wiz and Rami. Wiz helped me record a lot of the footage. Wiz helped me record all the footage for that little JJK reference. He has a Discord and a community, people that are growing. And if you want to join and check out what he's up to, he also streams on Twitch. I'll link his stuff in the description as well. With that all being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. It's going to be a fun one. Take care.
Headbutt that subscribe button.